Good evening all, welcome home. We are on a Friday night and that means it is cheap date night time. So you've gotten, if you're in the SuperMex Nation and the SuperMex International Network, let me make sure I do that up because I'm always a bit bad about doing this. So make sure that it's real easy, real simple. SuperMex International on Facebook, just punch it in, go to Facebook, punch in SuperMex International, and on YouTube, SuperMex International, the same. All right, that's where all our content is on both platforms, and we go live on both of those platforms at the same time. Then they eventually get shared out into other platforms, Instagram, Twitter, etc. Okay, so you get all of it at one time. So earlier tonight at 5 o'clock Pacific time, you have the Central Valley Leadership Roundtable with Eliseo Gamino, and just a guy doing good work, talking about issues, important base, regular folk issues that need to be addressed, and some light needs to be shed on and brought attention to, because they kind of get overlooked and they're not brought, again, into the light for all to view and to know the things that are going on in those communities, specifically on the west side of Fresno County, in some poorer communities and some smaller communities. And you know how this works, bigger, shinier prize usually gets more attention, but that shouldn't be the way it is. Everybody should get equal attention, right? There you go. So right after that, you got, and I've got to go back and check it out later, but you got an episode of The Glam Show. My daughter in New York, as she's going through her freshman year at Sarah Lawrence College in New York. And I got to tell you, I've been learning some stuff too that I didn't know. I talk to my daughter, not every day, but once every other day or two or so, it's like that. We keep contact. She talks to my wife a lot. And, so we know what's going on and we know what she's doing. But when my daughter and I talk, it's more, be careful here, it's more like formulaic, it's more business, and I don't mean business in the sense of a penny, but business in the sense of things to do and things to get done and things to make sure are taking place and happening. So we almost invariably talk about her courses, the material she's covering, the books that she's reading, and it's a bunch, a good bunch, and what she needs to do to be mentally prepared to do well at an elite East Coast private school, private college. And so that's where we end up. Then we talk about other things. We talk about this, as a matter of fact. We talk about the things that she and I are doing together in terms of putting out material for you guys to view, The Glam Show. So she's right before me. And I think we're probably going to end up keeping it that way. It works out. It's working out better in this fashion. I used to be earlier. We have Gamino now, who's got his show from basically roughly 5 to about 6. My daughter will come on after that, and then I will come on sometime after her. Her shows run anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes, sometimes a little bit more, but roughly in the 6 o'clock hour, and then into 6:30, 6:45, etc. And then I'll come on to kind of cap off the night at the end of the evening at or around 7 p.m. And then, depending on my guests, and that's all my fault, depending on my guests and how much fun I'm having with them, an hour plus, an hour and a half, maybe sometimes 2. We did almost 2 last time. And I got to say, I went back and watched the video from last week with Austin Reed, who is from, my area, but he's a Nashville musician now doing the work with his new group, Lonesome Revival, a country artist, and I like what he's got going, and he's knee-deep in the middle of Music City, USA. And so when we get that kind of opportunity to take advantage of that skill set and experience, we got to do it. We really got to take advantage of it. So we talked about some serious, very, very important, far-reaching items in country music and music in general. And like I said, I went back and watched the video, and I'm like, wow, yeah, that was a good conversation. I know it's a lot, and I know most people are not used to doing 2 hours or an hour and a half or an hour or even 30 minutes. I get it. I get it. You want the 5-minute, 10-minute jobs, 15, 20 minutes, no more. I get it, America. I get it, whoever. But there's nothing wrong with putting meat on the table. If someone doesn't want to eat it, they don't have to, because you know what? Somebody else will. And so that's quite literally what we did last week. So anyway, to wrap in total and sum, so where we're at now, that's kind of the caption for the Friday nights. You got the Central Valley Leadership Roundtable's Hour of Truth. You'll have the Glam Show immediately thereafter. And then sometime after my daughter's show, the Glam Show, you'll get me to wrap up the evening on Cheap Date Night. Tonight I will not have a guest, but I will be back tomorrow with guest or excuse me, not tomorrow, but the following Friday with the guest. And tonight will be a little shorter because, like I said, there's not as much conversation. There won't be as much of that. I'm just going to give you some meat from what it kind of arose out of my conversation last week with Austin and where music is at right now after having dealt with basically the majority of the year being the COVID time and what that means, for music and art and creativity, finishing up the back end of this year. So roughly we've got 3 months, October, November, December. All the oxygen's getting sucked up. You know why? Because we got a presidential election, the most important presidential election in my lifetime, if not at least since the Civil War. No hyperbole, fact. It's just that. And when history books are written about this period, they will bear me out and verify that truth. Okay, so it is that important. It's going to suck up a lot of oxygen. So no politics, just observation and strict, honest assessment, logical assessment. Dazzling display, by the way. So 3 more months, and music is taking a hit. One of the things that we talked about, and it's relevant for tonight, by the way, because that's what we're going to do tonight. So one of the things that came out in my conversation with Austin Reed last week was that because of COVID and the inability of artists and musicians to go out and perfect, if not work, and experience their craft in the traditional way, which is go gig out at a club or a bar or an event in front of people in a larger number, and you understand what I'm getting at, obviously. You can't do that as much, and that hasn't been going on because of COVID. We can't congregate in large settings because it spreads the virus, okay? And whether you believe it or not is irrelevant to me, but that's a fact. I think we're all knowing now that anybody can get the virus. Won't get political, but unless you're living under a rock, I think we know that everybody, every person in this country and on this planet can get the virus. So we can't do that. We haven't been able to go and do massive concerts and closed arenas. We haven't been able to gig out, like I said, at bars, clubs, honky-tonks, weddings or other things like that. So if we don't have the ability to do that, and I say we like generically for all of us, including artists, if we don't have the ability to do that, then artists and musicians don't have the ability to work and practice their skills with their instruments, with their vocal, with their group, working together, playing together as a band, perfecting their craft and their songs and their musicianship. That hasn't been going on. Okay, that hasn't been going on. And you can do that in a garage, you can do that somewhere else, but ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing like performing in front of a large crowd, a large audience that's live. There is nothing like that. Okay? You can record like well, this is actually live, so that's a wrong example, but you can record something, you can operate with the net, you could put something out by practicing and then doing it that way and sending it out, but there is nothing like performing in front of an audience that is live, where you feel the result, the emotion, and the feeling from your audience as you are playing and you are singing and as you are working your instruments and being a band, being a group, being a musician, being an artist. There's nothing like that. Okay, there is no substitute for that. There is no substitute. You can do the other, but again, until you're in front of a live audience, it's not the same. Okay, so put that on the table. I think we all understand that. I'm hammering on it because it's true. But we have not been able to do that in large measure because of COVID, because of the virus. And so what that means is there are tons of musicians and artists out there, groups that have lost, and I will say lost, that component to their development as musicians and artists. Does that mean they're never going to get it, that they're never going to be able to? No, absolutely not. They're still going to be able to continue and they're going to do their thing. But it does put a little bit of a hurdle and a speed bump there in terms of progress for young musicians and artists trying to grow and perfect their craft. That's a fact. Okay? So having said that, something that Austin and I talked about last week, great conversation, and a lot of good gold nuggets came out of that conversation. This was one of them. So having said all that, and having looked at it, I will definitely say, and he and I kind of came to agreement on it, Austin and I, that there's no question that 2020 will take a hit musically. Musically. I'm not going to say the music's worse than it ever has been or worse than last year, the year before, or whatever. It doesn't matter. But there's no question that music has taken a hit. Art has taken a hit. Creativity has taken a hit. Theater, drama in schools, it's all taken a hit, ladies and gentlemen. And so I'm not doing the, cry wolf thing. What I'm doing is making you aware thing. I'm giving you the make you aware thing. You cannot solve a problem, and you cannot make something better if you are not aware of its existence. Or, in some cases, people are aware of an existence of a problem, but afraid to call it out and say it out loud because they don't want to look like the person that is bringing the negative to the table. I don't have any problem doing that. I think most of you that know me know that. I got no issue with that whatsoever. You can't solve a problem if you don't know of its existence. Okay? So that problem exists right now in real time for all of us, for anybody that thinks of themselves as a creative person. That is a fact. Okay? And it can be a variety of things. It doesn't have to be just music in particular. Okay? But it can be any endeavor that requires the creative mind. That is taking a hit right now. So knowing that and putting it on the table and making you aware of it, that is how we address the problem. That's how we address the issue. Okay? It will eventually and ultimately be solved. Obviously, we're not going to live in this form or fashion forever. It's going to take time. It's not going to stop tomorrow, by the way, for any of you guys that are thinking that. Not going to happen. We're dealing with COVID for a bit. But over time, it will lessen and we will get better about it. And we will get back to at least that semblance of normalcy when it comes to creativity and art, etc. Okay, so having said that, what I'm doing tonight is we're going to, the format is normally, movies, TV, and music. We're going to kind of go through that, but I'm going to spend the majority of the night, and not too long. We're not going to be here much, probably not even more than an hour. And I'm just going to give you music. As of right now, the music, a sampling of music for 2020. The whole year so far. Because as most of you know, going back to last year, I like doing my end of the year lists of the best music of the year. I love doing that. So let's say I'm cheating a little bit and I'm doing one early, but it kind of crystallized with our conversation last week with Austin. And I had to really think hard. And I'm around music all the time, in all different genres, all different styles, all the time. So I had to think, and if I have to think, that means others have to think, about all the different genres of music and what it has meant during the COVID period and how it has affected music. So I'm going to give you a sampling of, we'll say 10 songs. We'll go 10 songs that have been heard this year that are a sampling of different genres throughout the year. You call it generically pop, but it is rap, it is some rock, some alternative, straight pop. The only thing I don't have on this list is country. It is part of the overall because there is country now and pop music too. Okay, pop is just popular music. There are country songs that are popular outside of country and therefore get a lot of attention on the pop charts. Okay, but for this particular list, we're not including the country songs because Austin and I gave you guys a full plate of country music to digest last week, and I really liked it. I'm digging in on some of the stuff that he gave me last week. So we've done and we've treated country music. So this is going to be everything other than country music, and I've done that before with you. You guys know why. I love my country, and I like to keep it here so that I can focus on it. So I'm going to give you 10 songs, a sampling of this year, and it's pop. It's some radio stuff. It's what's out there. It's what's listened to, and it's just a sampling at the three-quarter point before we get to the end of the year and we wrap up the year with the best music of the year. There you go. All right, so that's the night. That's the night for the most part. All right, so having said that, let me run through real quick. Okay, so movies and TV. I don't think I've seen any new movies. I don't think, since last week. I didn't watch any new movies. Make sure I'm clear there. Yeah, my time has been fried, so I have not been able to sit down for 2 hours and watch a movie. So I've not watched a new movie, so remove that, even though there are a few that I need to watch that were recommended. So I haven't watched any new movies. So let's get to TV. The only thing that I did finish And this goes back to a few weeks ago when Bobby B was in the joint and we were laughing and joking. I had a good time with that dude. He made me laugh. I had some great clips and images of me and him cracking up. So Bobby had already seen all of Cobra Kai. I had not. I had only watched one season. Okay? So, needless to say, raising the issue and the item because I completed Cobra Kai last night. So that's 2 seasons of Cobra Kai with Ralph Macchio and the original Karate Kid. And this is the series that is the follow-up to the original Karate Kid movie back from the late 80s. All right, and guilty as charged, I got to admit, it's going to have to end up being a guilty pleasure because I'm sitting there laughing my ass off about some of the stuff that you see out of Cobra Kai, because it's like an ugly throwback to the 80s. Some ugly music. Oh man, I should say ugly, but just a reminder, right? So I watched the end of Cobra Kai. They have been greenlit for a 3rd season, so they will get another season out of it. It's worked out all right. I got to admit that I do like the damn series. Here's the hard part for me, okay? I'm about to hit 50, and that's a long time ago for me, but I was a young dude, and I did like that time, and I liked Karate Kid, the movie, because I'll say it. He was a scrawny, little skinny dude. I was too. He didn't know much. He was lived in a single-parent home, single mom. I did too. I got picked on and bullied. He did too. You get the point, right? I'm doing all that. It's all that. I empathized, I understood, sympathized, all that with the Karate Kid. And I actually thought that if I watched enough black belt theater that I could learn some stuff and then I could go defend myself. That I wouldn't need Mr. Miyagi, that I could defend myself with, the deadly venoms or something. I could put some pressure back on other people that picked on me. So anyway, I'm real deep with that. My point is that I really don't know if my nostalgia for that time is overriding my common sense about what is good TV. I don't know. But I'm going to watch season 3 when it comes out. That's all I'm going to say. Because, yeah, there's definitely nostalgia going back to that time period. And I did like the movie. A lot of people did, by the way. It was a great movie. It was a really great movie at the time. So that's, I finished season 2. I'll let Bobby know if he ever watches this. I did finish season 2, Cobra Kai. And I will watch season 3 when it does come out. Let's just say Ralph Macchio and the other guy, they're definitely getting their value out of it, like 30 years later. It is 30 years later. I think it was 89. Yeah, we're looking at 3 decades ago that movie came out, and these guys are back in it as the stars, and I think it's kind of cool. Of course, with some younger people, because you can't just have a bunch of old dudes. You got some young people that are generating the storyline, etc., and there you go. So it is good, though. For any of you guys anywhere near my age, or in your 40s, 50s, 60s, you got to watch Cobra Kai on Netflix. It is funny and hysterical. Last thing, 2 things. For those of you that remember or that have been with me long enough, I just completed another season of Star Trek. Take that back. Not a season, but a run. You know what I mean. I watched all 3 seasons again. I'm not joking about that. I watch it all the time. You'd be amazed. Default setting, just like some people like to listen to music while they're whatever. It's the same song over and over again. I watch Star Trek and Twilight Zone. Those are my default settings. They square me up and center me about what's right and wrong. So finished another run of Star Trek. And here's one that I'm definitely going to watch. Clearly the most visually enticing of any commercial or advertisement that I've seen so far on anything to do with TV is Raised by Wolves. The clips and the images of that, I don't think it's out yet. I think it's coming out. It's called Raised by Wolves. I'm going to watch that. I'm definitely watching that. And it doesn't hurt that I think one of the main characters is the guy who was Ragnar Lothbrok out of Vikings from the History Channel that has been running for like 8 seasons now. I love that dude. I love it. His name's Travis Fimmel. Travis Fimmel. He's an actor. He played Ragnar Lothbrok, the original character in Vikings, and that's like on its 8th or 9th season. He's not even around anymore. It's still running. But Travis Fimmel, I really like that dude as an actor. I like that guy. So I think he's in Raised by Wolves. I would watch it just for him. But visually, And I know this gets tossed around a lot. I don't use the word very often. I'm careful with my wording, but it is visually stunning, some of the clips and the images that I've seen of the previews of Raised by Wolves. It looks really badass, and I'm going to get a look at that. That's coming out soon. So anyway, so that's TV for me. I haven't watched a new movie. All right, let's get down to business and wrap up. Okay, so let me give you my music for 2020. How about that year? It was a year, wasn't it? All right, so I'm going to give you the music that I'm kind of like, that is like the generic, popular stuff, and that has been there. Like, what do I remember in pop music out of 2020? Again, going back to last week with our show with Austin Reed, 2020, cheap date night for country. I'm doing pop tonight, and these are the songs that I'm remembering or that I kind of like and that I think are good. And into this pop stuff, right? There'll be others. We can do a separate show that is rock, that is alternative, that is other genres, okay? We did country last week, so tonight we're doing pop. So let's get down to the business. All right, first things first. You're going to laugh about this. Don't laugh too hard. But I've had people working on me that kind of gave me hell because I don't, you know, if I listen to everything, that means I got to listen to everything, right? You can't make that statement. You got to qualify the statement. So if I'm going to listen to everything, I got to listen to everything. So I had, let's just say I had some young people give me hell about that and basically told me I need to listen to everything. So I got to admit that I don't listen to a lot of foreign stuff from the eastern portion of the world, whatever that is. And I'm not listening all the time to BTS. But I've got a song that I started listening to because I'm going to give those dudes a shot because they're big, they're global, and they're getting a lot of attention. They've been getting a lot of attention. They've had good crossovers with Halsey and other artists. And as I said, I got to give everything a shot. So I'm giving you this. So BTS, they're big, they're massive, they're global. So I'm going to give you BTS Dynamite. And for those of you guys that don't know, you're like me, you're older, you don't listen to it. It's a South Korean boy band, and they're global. They're global. All right? So it's a shout out to my Asian brothers and sisters on the other side of the planet. Wi-Fi permitting. Come on now. Turn it up some. That's Tracy. Permitting.
Get up in the morning, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Kick out, kick the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone. Sing song when I'm walking home, jump up to the top of the brown. Ding dong, call me on my phone, nice tea, and I'll get my ping pong. This is big, heavy, can't hear the bass, boom, I'm ready. Life is sweet as honey, yeah, this beach treated like money.
All right, so that's stop that. So BTS Dynamite, that's one of their latest newer songs. And again, they're global, they're massive, they're all over the place, and they have crossed over, I won't say crossed over, but they've collaborated, they sing in English, and they're only getting bigger. So again, I've got to open up my ears and eyes to other. And so normally I wouldn't. You know, like I'm not a big boy band guy. I never have been, right? Even when I was a boy. But I think I debunked that more than a few times over the last few weeks and definitely over the last year because I'm listening to some boy banders that are no longer boys. They're men, and they're putting out damn good music. And maybe, you know, maybe that's what happens with these guys, right? They're still young, but they're not going to stay Menudo young forever. I'm throwing a Menudo joke at you guys. If you remember, Menudo was a boy band that was, you know, Mexican kids, Hispanic kids, and they sang in Spanish. Ricky Martin was in Menudo, but eventually they grew up and they moved on, they did other things. But Menudo, the group, stayed young because every time someone got older, they booted them out and put a young guy in. Maybe they do that, I don't know. But my point is this, so it's BTS, a bunch of young dudes. I will be interested because right now I'm really interested, the interest lies in this. A boy band or a young group of people What do they do when they're separate or when they go out on their own? That's what you look for. All right, now that's down the road and that's years to go, but that's what you look for. Because I will say it, and I've already put it on air. Harry Styles, Niall Horan, the Zayn kid had already had stuff out with Taylor Swift. Liam and I think Lewis is the other one. All the guys in One Direction have all done individually music and albums. And the two in particular that I'm listening to the hell out of right now are Horan and Harry Styles. And I'm going to say it again because I said it the week before and I said it last week with Austin. The Fine Line, the album by Harry Styles, is a phenomenal album from first song to last. Quote me on it. Don't just listen to me, go listen to it. Go listen to the entire album. And I'll hazard a guess, if you have any ear or appreciation for music as a whole, listen to the entire album. There's no way you come out of listening to the whole album without finding something, one, two, or more songs that you absolutely like. Damn, that's pretty good. Because there's a cross-section of a lot. And I'm not going to get into all that right now. My point is, it's that damn good. And so let's see what happens with BTS as they age and get older. Right now they're living it up. They're going global. They are global. They're big. But let's see what happens when they age and they get older and maybe they do some individual stuff. That's where I'm at. So anyway, first song that I'm giving you tonight is BTS. The song is Dynamite. All right, another look at next song. This one came out a while ago, not a while ago, this year, obviously, 2020, and more at the midpoint. But I'm going to tell you what, this song, when I heard it, I was like, wow. And wow, because of the topic and the time. Okay, the topic and the time. So it's Lil Baby. The song was cut and done right after and for the George Floyd murder in the streets, and then everything that happened after that. So it is a song about social justice. It is a song about police brutality in this case. It is a song about race relations. It is a song at a look and a moment encapsulated in time now, a little bit earlier this year, right after the George Floyd murder. It is a look at who we are. It is a snapshot of what we are, done by an artist, done by a musician. Okay? And that's when I really believe that music is at its best, is when you can imitate life while life imitates you, the you being art. Art imitates life, life imitates art. I know you've heard the term, but it's applicable. And you have to find when it's being applied. So the song is The Bigger Picture. The artist is Lil Baby. And it is a snapshot and an encapsulation of what's going on in America, the bad, the not good, the things that need to be addressed. Remember what I said. You can't solve a problem, ladies and gentlemen, America, world. You can't solve a problem if you are not aware of its existence. And you cannot solve that problem if you deny its existence. Clear? Not politics. Society.
Protests and growing national outcries continue over the death of George Floyd. Last night, people protesting in Minneapolis escalated as demonstrators were lashed by tear gas and rubber bullets.
The main message here is that they want to see those officers involved.
They want to see those officers arrested.
Trade my 4x4 for a G63, ain't no more feelings feet. I gave him chance again. I even told him please. I find it crazy the police to shoot you and know that you dead, but still tell you to freeze. Fucked up, I seen what I seen. I guess that mean hold him down if he say he can't breathe. It's too many mothers just grieving. They killing us for no reason. Been going on for too long to get even. Throw us in cages like dogs and hyenas. I went to court and they sent me to prison. My mama was quick when they said I can't leave. First I was drunk and I sobered up quick when I heard all this time that they gave to Talib. He got a license plus. We just some products of our environment. How the fuck they gonna blame us? You can't fight.
Okay, one thing before I cut off on that. This is SuperMex, and this is SuperMex Nation, SuperMex International Network. One thing that I did dig on this, okay, wasn't the obvious. He's putting down and dropping for you what is going on. These are all facts. This is not contrived or made up fiction. He's talking or rapping, in this case, about things that are right now. The point I'm going to make here is that he even mentions and talks about people in cages like dogs. You should know what I'm talking about. There are thousands, and I don't even know how many thousands of people that look like me, a little darker in skin tone, not quite black, not quite white, somewhere in between right here. Meet me in the middle, Maren Morris and Zed, that are brown and that are caged like dogs and animals right now. So, number love for this young blood for bringing that up and mentioning it. Okay, because an injustice to one is an injustice to all. Clear? And I've said that more than a few times for those of you that are with me on my other shows. An injustice to one is an injustice to all. And he brings it up, and I appreciate the point. Thank you from SuperMex. Okay, bigger picture, the bigger picture by Lil Baby. By Lil Baby, all right? That one coming out of 2020 is only going to continue to have legs long after this year's gone. It'll be a seminal moment in music attached to the civil and social unrest that is taking place now and that has been taking place for months. It will be remembered. It will be used going forward. It's historic, at least in that sense, because we will remember it. All right, just like the Childish Gambino song from about 3 or 4 years ago, This is America, and it's applicable now. I played the hell out of it again, and that was from 3 or 4 years ago. Good art has the ability to transcend its time when created and continue well beyond its creation. That's good art. Okay, that's the second one. Here you go. So I'm going to give you one of them boy banders right now, because this one has been played a lot. It's a good video too, by the way. What I really dug on this about was the fact that this video, when it's done, it's like it says it's dedicated to touching. Dedicated to touching, because at this time in our lives, in this era of COVID, touching is not the same. I'm not a touchy guy, but I do like to shake hands, and I like to look people in the eye. That is what I do. That is who I am. And I do hug, not the full thing, but, you know, a little bit of, a little hug in there with people. And there is no touching the same way right now. Human touch, human feel. That's gone. That's not the same, clearly, right now. But this song created and the video done by Harry Styles, he dedicates the song to touching in the time of COVID. I thought that was kind of cool, because I had not seen that by anybody else. So that's kind of cool. And these are people, artists that are thinking and doing during this ugly time. They're still creating, they're still doing, and this is why we're doing the list tonight. So let me give you the song. It's a cool song anyway.
Tastes like strawberries on a summer evening, and it sounds just like a song. I want more berries and a summer feeling. It's so wonderful and warm. Breathe me in, breathe me out. I don't know if I could ever go without. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know if I could ever go without watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high.
Okay, and plenty of weeks at, up on the charts. It's a cool song. It's just like watermelon sugar. Okay, I get it. But yeah, the video is really cool. Check out the video on YouTube or somewhere else. Dedicated to touch, in this time period. And again, that's just, and by the way, that's one of the songs off of the Fine Line album by Harry Styles. Highly recommend, even if you don't like pop. Listen for the lyric, listen for the melody. If you really like music and you think you're a connoisseur and you're an appreciator of music, Listen for lyric and listen for melody. And on some of these songs, listen for the instrumentation of what he does or what they do with these songs. She, in particular, I mentioned that last week, She. Listen to the instruments and the confluence of their instruments in that song. It's just phenomenal to me. I was like, wow, you know, how did this go under the radar? Amazing to me. Anyway, Harry Styles, that is Watermelon Sugar High off the Fine Line album, which, man, I should get paid for something. That's a powerful endorsement. KP doesn't even tell me to stop doing that anymore because I guess he got tired of telling me. But yeah, can't recommend it any more highly. Just a great album, phenomenal. I think it's one of, if not the best album of the year. And you heard me because I listen to a lot of music. It is that good. All right. Another easy one here. I like this little girl. I think she's going to be massive. And I think I did a list on my YouTube and I think on Spotify. For those of you guys that go check out the music I put together in lists. And I did a list for her and two other gals as the 3 musicians or artists that I'm looking for the coming decade. If you remember, I did Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, and Rihanna as the 3 biggest females of the 2010s. I think Dua Lipa and a couple others are going to be the 3 biggest artists of the 20s. And they're starting off that way big. Really, it's about, do you last all 10 years? You know how this works. Some of them don't. But if she goes 10 years, there's no way she's not going to be one of the biggest artists in the world, female, by the time she's done. So this is one of her later ones, or latest. I really like that Don't Start Now, but that's more at the back end of last year into this year, even though it was played all this year. But this is the one that's kind of out, that's been out into 20. The song is Break My Heart, and it's a little catchy, cool tune. Get it up.
I've always been the one to say the first goodbye. Had to love and lose 100 million times. Had to get it wrong to know just what I like. Now I'm falling. You say my name like I have never heard before. I'm indecisive, but this time I know for sure. I hope I'm not the only one that feels it all. Are you falling? Center of attention, you know you can get whatever you want from me.
Whatever you want, baby.
It's you and my reflection. I'm afraid of all the
Things you can do to me.
If I would've known it,
baby.
I would've stayed at home, 'cause I was doing better alone. But when you said hello, I knew that was the end of it all. I should've stayed at home, 'cause now you're better off. Am I falling in love with the one that could break my heart? Oh no, I was doing better alone. But when
All right, that's another one. Obviously, plenty of weeks at the on the charts. Just a cool little catchy tune. She's got a gazillion of them. I'll say it. I just like the little chick. She's kind of cool. I really dig on that females that have that husky voice that can go down there a little bit and then like bring it out a little rough. And then of course it's dance music, it's club music, it's upbeat, it's fun, simple enough. But yeah, I think she's going to be big for a long time. I'm guessing that she lasts a decade, and she's going to be one of the biggest female artists of the whole decade coming. That's my assessment. If I'm wrong, I'll retract in a decade, but we'll see what happens. All right, so Break My Heart by Dua Lipa. 5. All music tonight to wrap up. And this one's this year, and just another good tune. These guys have been cranking. Now watch, you're going to know immediately. You should know immediately, if you know music, or pop music at least. Literally about 2 decades now, just cranking out hits, hit after hit, nonstop, and everything he puts out is good, and everything they do is, does well. So this is the latest, and a good tune. It's just a good song. I won't tell you who. You'll know as soon as you hear it. probably the most recognizable or ubiquitous falsetto in the industry right now.
Here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish if we're here, but you're not. Cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. Cause the drinks bring back all the memories. And the memories bring back you. There's a time that I remember when I did not know no pain. When I believed in forever. Everything will stay the same. Now my heart feels like December when somebody say your name. Cause I can't reach out to call you, but I know I will one day.
All right, Maroon 5 song is Memories. Spending plenty of time on charts. Again, another one. And as I said, to open that little roundup, I mean, they've been cranking out hits since the early 2000s. And I don't know, you know, even off that Songs About Jane, okay, that album, that beginning like monster album, Songs About Jane, that's a phenomenal album, by the way. It's one of my favorites over the last 2 decades, easy. And from that time to now, there hasn't been, and this is good, this is all good, there hasn't been like a massive deviation. I'll give you a standard deviation, I'm going to do some math on you. There hasn't been a massive deviation in quality in terms of a dip or a high. They're just all good. It's like all generically good music, and there's never been like a letdown in quality. He's always cranking out, Maroon 5 is always cranking out really good music. I mean, you have to work hard to find not good Maroon 5 songs. They just put out good music, and it's never really deviated or dipped in quality. And you can hold me on record for that. I honestly believe that. It's not. I mean, again, we're looking at nearly 2 decades later, and that's a cool song. That's just a damn good song. Could you imagine like lasting 20 years, 2 decades plus in creativity? That's not easy, ladies and gentlemen. That's difficult. That is difficult. Creativity was never meant to be like forever. It's like explosion, something out of the darkness into the ether, right? And then you get something incredible, whether it's music or anything else. But these guys have lasted nearly 2 decades cranking out quality music, quality hits that last and stand the test of time even when the music industry is altering and changing around them. They haven't had to change a whole lot. They're still putting out the same quality, great music and not deviating a whole lot from their original. It's just that damn good. All right, so Maroon 5. This one I was a little, I didn't want to, but it was left over, like finishing it. It came out at the back end of 2019. All right, and this song like dipped in and jumped into 2020 and lasted. And I mean, listen, it's still played on the radio. You can still hear it once in a while on the radio. It's just lasted the whole year because it's just a really damn good song. And this guy is kind of at his height right now in terms of his artistry and in the industry and in music in general. He's at the top of the game. Everybody wants to work with him, and he's still cranking out good stuff. So this one, I didn't want to do it, but, you know, I couldn't get around it. You know, good music is good music. You know my rule. Good music is good music. And this one is a damn good song, and it's lasted since the end of 2019 up to now and has been at the top of the charts, on the charts. I think it's one of the highest charting or the longest charting songs of the year, of the whole year. And remember, this is about the year. It's not just about right now.
proud. I couldn't be there, even when I tried. You don't believe it. We do the same time. Seasons change now, love ain't cold.
Okay, so Circles, Post Malone. I don't know of anybody that doesn't like it. It's a damn good song. It's been around the whole time. Came out at the at the end of last year, into the beginning of 2020. Still here. It's going to be one of his better songs, like in his catalog, like ever. It's a cool song. It really is. I mean, it's a good song, and you can't get away from it. So I had to include it. I didn't want to because, you know, here we go. Like, you just want to play it to the radio, right? But if it's in your ear all the time, you can't forget it. Sorry. You got to recognize it. All right, we got 3 left. Here you go. And not in any, you know, I didn't do these in a specific order, but the last 2 are in somewhat of an order. And I'll tell you why in a second. Okay, so, no, 4. Oh, my bad. So we're going to do, and I have said it on there before, I'll say it today. So this guy is probably my favorite rapper right now, over the last number of years. Real interested to see where he goes with his music over time. I want to see where it goes. Easily for me, one of the most raw, one of the most simple, going back to a time when I knew what rap was when it first started, and it wasn't even rap back then, it was called other things. I was younger. But someone communicating in a form of music that was about expressing what they see, what they hear, what they feel, what they are. I mean, if you go back and listen to NWA, yeah, that album and the stuff before, that's what they're telling you about their life, their experience. All right, you go back to the Sugar Hill Gang, you go back to Double Dutch Bus. Some of you guys don't remember that, I do. That stuff out of the late 80s. EPMD, 2 Live Crew, especially 2 Live Crew. I mean, that's about as simple as it gets. Public Enemy. And then into the 90s, into those early 90s with all those rappers that came out. You know, I'm still partial to Big Daddy Kane. He's one of my favorites all time. LL Cool J was out of the beginning of that. I can go on and on. My point being is the stuff was raw. It was real. It was about what they were feeling, what they were doing, what they were saying, what they were seeing. And to me, that's what the good part of rap was. And I'd like to see more of that now. Not to say it doesn't exist. I'm telling you it does, but not as much. I'd like to see more of that. I think this kid is kind of like that to me. Especially when I saw that for that Bop video. It's like, that's about as simple as it gets. That's about as raw as it gets. So anyway, the artist is DaBaby with Roddy Ricch. The song's Rock Star. And it's been up for quite a bit, you know, during this year. Getting plenty of radio play.
Pull up, like, how you pull up, baby? How you pull up? How you pull up? I pull up, step in the kitchen, let's go. Brand new Lamborghini, fuck a cop car. With a pistol on my hip like I'm a cop. Have you ever met a real nigga rock star? This ain't no guitar, bitch, this a clock. My God told me to promise you gon' squeeze me. Better let me go the day you need me. Put me on that nigga, get the bus. And if I ain't enough, go get the chop.
DaBaby, Roddy Ricch. The song is Rockstar. All right, I'm going to wrap up. We're going to go quick because I want to, watch this. We're at 51 minutes, and I almost never get under an hour, but I'm going to get under an hour today. That is an objective. Got to hustle, though. Okay, let's do this. Means I got to be quicker on the finger. Love this girl. She's been my favorite over the last, at least for last year. See what happens this year. And she's been one of the biggest coming out of the back end of the 10s into the new decade. This has been kind of her biggest hit this year. Great video, by the way. Really great video. Cool video. Come on. Maybe I should sing it. Wow, that's like forever. Try that again. All right, that's going to be a minute waiting. All right, I'm going to get this under an hour. All right, so the song is Halsey's You Should Be Sad. You Should Be Sad. I apologize for that. We're going to get, because I want to move and I want to get this all under this 1 hour window. But that eighth song for me is Halsey, You Should Be Sad. Halsey's massive right now. She's big. She's everywhere, still cranking out hits. That's been her biggest hit so far of this year. Now listen to anything she puts out. You know, when you're in the zone and you're cranking out good stuff, everything's good. Okay, so these last two, I'll make it simple. If I had to like go back and listen and say, okay, what songs do I remember? I'll remember others. But in terms of like the year, what's standing out to me as for the year, these are kind of the two songs that I remember for the year that I'll remember next year and the year after. See if you get it. Number 9. No, we're having some got issues. That's a good song too. Does that got issues? Come on. There you go.
This the remix. Didn't have to notice, keeping me in the moment. I bet you hadn't known it. Why don't you say so? Didn't even notice, no punches got to roll it. You got to keep me focused. You wanna say so? Every time I take a break, the game be so boring. Pretty like Naomi, Cassie plus Lauren. Spitting like Weezy, Foxy plus Lauren. Boy like a Ramsey, now that's Jordan. They don't understand the back talk I'm foreign. When they think they top the queen, they start falling. Word to my ass shots, I'm so cheeky. Got them trying to palm my ass like young Kiki. Yes, I'm ghetto, word to Geppetto. Plus I'm Leto, where's my stiletto? Tell my...
No. Got cut off anyway. Okay, so Doja Cat, Say So. That's just a cool little tune. I mean, you got to dance to that. I mean, that's a... If there were still clubs to go to, that's what you'd be hearing every night in the club. You got to hear that song all night, every night. All right. That is a cool song. I think that one's going to last for a while, and it's going to be remembered out of this year. And it's kind of when she's breaking out. You know, Doja Cat, this is kind of her year right now. This is her bigger year coming in from 19. But love that song. That's just really simple and easy, and that's kind of the type of song that you want to remember from your, like, oh yeah, I remember that. Okay, so again, if there were clubs, that's what you'd be listening to in that club. Okay, so my last one, and if those of you guys that are in tune with what is, you know, music for a year, yeah, I couldn't, there was no way around this. I mean, it was just, I'm listening to everything, and I keep going back to this song because it is that good, and because there is nothing better. I'll say that. In terms of the year, in terms of, you know, out and heard, I don't think there's a better song right now. And there's still 3 months to go. You never know. But I think as of right now, this is the longest charting song of the year. Make sure we're clear on that, okay? It's the longest charting song of this year so far in 2020. So if the song is going to come up and knock it off in the next 3 months, possible, it has to come out now, and it has to remain on the charts till the end of the year to knock this one out of its perch at the top right now. But I will say this too. I've been decrying D-E-C-R-Y-N-G. I've been decrying, you know, lyric and melody in music anymore, right? That's the thing for me. You know, I got to hear that. That's good music. And I will say this, and good quality vocals, by the way. This kid, this guy is it. He is easily one of the best vocalists, period, any genre. And this song definitely hits it in terms of a hit and fleshes out his full artistry. His upper register of sound from the vocal and what he's capable with his voice, with his vocal, his gymnastics, what he can do. The guy's a phenomenal vocalist. I just say it. He's got a sweet voice, silky smooth. It's got all the right texture. It just, I think there's no limit to what he can do as a vocalist. I really don't. And this song really brings out a lot of the textures of his vocal. Okay? Again, it is the longest charting song of 2020 so far.
Maybe you can show me how to love. Maybe I'm going through a drought. You don't even have to do too much. You can turn me on with just a touch, baby. I look around, the city's cold and empty. No one's around to judge me. I can see clearly when you're on my side.
Okay, simple enough. Blinding Lights, Weekend. As of right now, 9 months in during the COVID year, the whole year, you heard what I said. 9 months in, 3 months left. That song's it as of right now. There's 3 months left. Maybe somebody knocks him off. Unlikely. But when we get to the end of the year and we do our wrap up for the year, he's going to be somewhere near the top, if not at the top. And I'm going to say it again. A phenomenal vocalist. One of the best vocalists, period, right now in music. And I think he's hitting all the bases on that song. That's just a really crafted, well-crafted song, tune, all the above. All right, that's our Friday night, cheap date night. Thank you guys for being here. Again, mostly music tonight. We'll be back with a guest next week, and we'll talk about, bringing out stuff that you need to be aware of. As usual, safety briefing, be careful. One last spit to let you know, if you're not aware and if you haven't seen it yet, you need to be clear. Anybody can get this virus, okay? Anybody. So be careful. Mask up. If you don't want to mask up when you're at home, then by all means. But when you're around other people in large crowds or out in public, it ain't about you, all right? It's about other people. I don't care how badass, how tough, how great you are, how immune and impervious you are. It's about other people. It's not about you. I'm asking you. You don't have to, but I'm asking you. All right? Mask up when you're around others. And again, as always, be mindful of other people. Be aware of your surroundings. Might be another person that's doing something that might damage you. Okay? Take care of yourself. And I want to see you all next week. I look forward to this coming week with you. Nothing but love for you. SuperMex is out.